Hello, welcome back, it's Chris, and today we're going to be looking at doing the porch side of the building. And there's some quite fiddly little bits here, but once you've completed this, it's really quite satisfying. You can see that I've already done the entrance here, and as we talked about in an earlier video, you can see I've marked with red pen around the edges, some brown felt tip pen, and again there. These windows, toilet window details, are quite fiddly to cut out. Take your time over those. And you can see again, I've put red pen inside, running inside those window sills. I've already rolled on my windows and doors, and you can see there the acetate is already stuck on with spray mount. This is going to be a little porch welcome sign. And this is probably the hardest side of the restaurant to do because of these little window details. That's going to cover the wall block that goes there. Let's just move these out of the way then for a bit. And I've been working on the thick card layer, which is a little bit of a pain to cut out, but once you've done it, I've been working on this morning, so hopefully these should be about ready to press out. We're going to need this, and we're going to need wall C, and we're going to need these 3 blocks here to do the porch sign. So let me just find my knife, and we'll finish cutting out this detail here. Right, I'm not going to lie to you, this bit is fiddly and annoying, and it's always a relief when it's over. Cutting out these little windows and then getting the wrap nice and neat over the top. I recommend here that you snap off a blade and start with a really fresh, sharp one because it's quite tricky, this bit. Okie doke. Now, sometimes if you've cut something out and you need some extra leverage for the ruler, or you need to be on the same level, just use a spare piece of cardboard of the same thickness and that can help. The cleaner we get these, the nicer the result's going to be with the window detail. So really take your time on this. Now don't worry if you go just a little bit over the edge, because it is going to be covered by the window wrap. I'm pressing hard to try and get a nice quite annoying when it slips. You might actually want to do this bit of cutting before it leaves the big cardboard sheet, less likely to slip around. So we're looking for a nice clean cut on the other side. Don't lift those little blocks out until they fall out naturally, because otherwise you'll be tearing the paper somewhere and leaving a little bit of a mess behind. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, so that's pretty nice and clean. And that's the way I like it to look before I start on this. As I've done with other bits of the build, I think it's worth putting some dark felt pen in there. It's going to neaten it up at the end. So let's just run some felt pen inside there. Don't worry if you go over slightly. Getting this right really will make a difference to the final look. All right. Doesn't look great just now, but when we've got the wall D wrap on, it will. Right, here's my wall D wrap. Let's get cracking with this. And as with all of these, the most important line to get really lovely and straight is the base. So let's get that right for starters. It's nice and clean. And then again, these sills need to be really straight. So let's just cut those. I'm going to nick out these sides, and I often leave a little bit of slack on either side. It won't do any harm. There's more for the glue to grab hold of. And then these little details here. Spend a bit of time getting these right. Alright, now once I've done that, you may want to just score in between these little corners to help you. So use the back of your scalpel. It's worth going on the back, otherwise you might scratch the ink off the front. That's going to help us in a minute. And now it's time to glue the wrap onto the windows. Could just do a bit of scoring here as well. Okay, time for the gluing. And just be a little bit careful with the glue here, because you don't want to rip these little bits of window. So what I tend to do is just do a twist in these areas, a very gentle twist, and then you can spread glue fairly easily on the rest of it, making sure you've got plenty on these tabs along here. Okay. You can always spread it out with a bit of cardboard. Just pay attention to these little bits here. Right, very important to get the edge completely clean along the bottom. And as always here, I like to use a ruler to make sure that's nice and square. You can always nick these little corners away if necessary. If you get little white bits showing through, that's fine. Now to this bit, and I tend to use my blade push these round. Take your time on this bit because you want them to look right. Okay, so it's worth investing the time on that. It's a really nice detail, so it's worth getting it right. And we're going to put our aircon unit here and a little vent here for the toilet windows. There we go. And that is going to look smashing when it's on top of this. And we've got the windows behind. You see. So it really starts to take shape. So now we just need to cover wall C with a brick wrap. And then we're ready to assemble that bit. Okay, so we're going to get on with that, cover that. We'll assemble all this together in a minute. One of the nice jobs to do here is the little welcome porch sign. Okay, and just involves pre-scoring, cutting this out, and you'll need these 3 blocks to glue together to create the welcome sign. So I'm just going to show you the process of that. I've pre-cut these. I don't think they need much more. There we go. Right, these are going to need gluing together as a 3. And then you can just trim them with a knife and make sure they're neat. So I'll just do that while we're here. Trusty clamp will come in handy here. Get it as even as you can. You can always just trim this with a knife at the end. Leave that to dry. Fingers sticking to it there. And then we've just got the little sign. And to make this easier, using the back of your blade, just pre-score these. So just going to fold those gently, and the little tabs. Okay, you see what's going on here, and that's going to wrap around my nice little blocks and create the welcome sign. So when that's dry, we'll come back and have another look at that. Just press those together again. Far too much glue on there, ridiculous. No, I can keep that on my finger for the rest of the day if I want. Sticking together nicely, and then it'll eventually be wrapped with this little welcome sign, which will go above the doors. Good old Prit. Again, just be careful you don't rip it, because it's quite delicate. And start by pressing the sides around. Get those little flaps in place. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And you can always run a little felt tip pen just around the edges if there's any white showing on the corners. So that's our little welcome sign. I've glued all my frontage together, all the porch area, and I've had a heavy box sitting on that just to weight it down. So make sure you line up the windows nicely inside so you can see those window frames sort of three-dimensionally behind. You see that? Porch door, going to have the menu sign behind there eventually, and our little welcome sign will be glued directly above the entrance doors. So that's nearly a side complete. We'll put the aircon unit there and a little extractor fan, and one side of the restaurant, another side of the restaurant is now complete.